All right, everyone, welcome to The Sidewalk. This is a fun new podcast we're doing. It's going to be a little different than your traditional podcast because we're going to be on the go. We're going to be on the sidewalk. And the whole point of this is we're going to be finding people doing interesting things to try to make upstate New York a better place. All right, and our first guest is the City of Syracuse's Auditor, Alex Marion. Alex, welcome to The Sidewalk.
Good to see you, sir.
Yeah, so,
good to be here.
We're really excited to have you, but why don't you start by just telling people, what's the auditor? What does the auditor do?
So the Syracuse City Auditor is there to make sure we get value for our limited resources. You know, whether that is our tax dollars, and that's usually what gets the most attention, but it's how do we make sure that we get value for our human capital, our physical infrastructure, our public space and our open space. How do we make sure that that is working well for our community? And I also think part of the job is making sure we live up to our values, making sure that when the City of Syracuse makes commitments to our community members, we're living up to them. We are honoring who we want to be at our best, and we keep doing that work every day.
So give people something concrete about this. What's the most important or the most impactful thing you think you've worked on in the tenure you've had so far?
When I first came into office, we put out a report about state aid. And folks in local government have been clamoring for years. We need more state aid. We need more state aid. I took that report and went down the thruway, spent some quality time in Albany and showed it to anyone who would listen and chased down a few people who didn't want to. And kept saying, hey, local governments are the ones that are delivering basic essential services. Local governments are on the front lines of fighting climate change. It's local governments that need to be nimble employers of choice right now. And we need the resources to make all of that possible. And over the course of 2 years, we were able to secure a $10 million increase in state aid from our friends in Albany. And we're going to keep going. We need more. We need more help. We need more regulatory relief. We need more thoughtful governance coming out of Albany, but that's a great first step, and I think that that's a good baseline for the work that this office keeps planning on doing.
All right, so what is something you've seen in city government in your time there that would surprise people that aren't used to working in City Hall?
So I like to say that I learn something new every single day. Some days I wish I didn't. And I think that the biggest surprise that I've had is just the absolute breadth of challenges that we face. We are the folks who are going to be responsible for, dealing with employees that have to work outside in extreme weather. We are the government that is going to have to be responsible for making our infrastructure climate resilient. We are doing so much of that work that people don't think your local government does. We are dealing with national and international issues when it comes to refugees and asylum seekers and immigration in this country. And that is right here at our front door. That's not stuff people think that their local government that's known for, police, fire, sewers. That's what they think we do. We do so much more than that. And that's something that always surprises me. But the other surprise, and it's a happy surprise I have, is that we have absolutely the most wonderful, dedicated, thoughtful workforce that wants to make this community a better place. We have people who show up to City Hall every single day saying they believe in this city, they believe in the best we can be, and they really put that into action. They put that into action and are willing to do the hard work to make a difference. And I am always grateful for the many, many people we have working for us in the city of Syracuse.
So you didn't drive to work today, you took the bus.
I did.
Tell people why.
This is National Week Without Driving, where we're encouraging people to give up their cars at least a little bit to really see different ways of getting around their communities. Now, I chose to take the bus this morning. I admit I'm not a regular bus rider, and it was an eye-opening experience. I had to walk about 15 minutes to get to my nearest bus stop. I was amazed by the different folks who were on the bus, all ages, seemingly all economic strata. We were all kind of riding the bus together. It was a great experience. A quarter of people who live in the city of Syracuse don't own cars. 10% of people in Onondaga County don't own cars. And I think it's so important that we are thinking about the infrastructure we need and the policies we need, like bus rapid transit, to make sure everyone can get around our community safely and efficiently and effectively. We need better buses. We also need better bike lanes and better pedestrian options. So we have a walkable, bikeable, and transit-friendly city to live in.
So you used to live in New York City. You're familiar with cities
Yep.
that have good transit
Yeah,
and all
absolutely.
that. Give Syracuse a letter grade. What is it like to live in Syracuse without a car?
I will generously give us a C+. I think we have the basics here. And I think we have an interest as a community in building things out, but we need to do better. We need faster buses. We need closer stations to each other, closer routes. And we also need to make sure that we have more bike infrastructure, protected bike lanes, a more walkable, street grid for everyone to use, so that everyone can have lots of different ways to get around. And I know that's tough. We are the snowiest city in North America. I'm not unaware of that fact. I have the boots to prove it. But we have a lot of potential, and we just need to invest in the policies and the infrastructure needed to make that happen.
So this is a community that's about to undergo some changes with Micron, with
Yep.
a lot of other things going on in the world. What does Syracuse look like 10 years from now?
I'm an optimist, and I love our city. I think that if we continue doing good things in the city, we are a more diverse community. We continue welcoming our immigrant and refugee neighbors from all across the world, and we bring immigrants and refugees into a community that is an investment in the future. That is an investment in years and decades to come. I think we're seeing startup businesses, shops, other things from this community really springing up, and I think that is a huge engine of economic growth. I think that as Micron and other investments happen in our community, we are looking at a world where we need to build more housing. I am hopeful to see, in my dream world, Syracuse has a different skyline 10 years from now. 81 will be gone, and we'll have new things that change the shape of what we look like from a distance, and it will be reflective of good things we have here going forward in the future.
So give me a best case and worst case. Let's say you've got a great city government implementing good policies that's ready for this change. What does that
here's
look like?
hoping.
Or, we miss the boat. We do the wrong things. We implement the wrong policies. What's the worst case? What's the worst thing that could happen in Syracuse?
The best case is we are seeing thoughtful growth that's not leaving people behind, because one of my biggest concerns is that we are going to leave people behind. Right now, we are one of the poorest cities in the United States. We have been for a long time. We're one of the most segregated cities in the United States. Good growth, a good future, looks like those folks are included and those folks are moving ahead. The worst case scenario, as I see it, is not that there is not growth and progress, is that growth and progress happen that doesn't bring people along with it. I'm a big believer in the rising tide lifts all boats mentality, and I am very worried that we'll have a rising tide here that's going to sweep a bunch of little boats away. And that is what concerns me. It's as we grow, as people come in, as they invest in this community, that we are going to be leaving folks behind. I'm speaking to someone who's kind of involved in the economic development sphere a while ago, and he was very frustrated about something that was happening too slowly for his liking. And he said, you have no idea what it's like when you bring 100,000, 200,000 new people into a community. You can't even imagine it. And I said, well, maybe I can imagine it, but I'm currently responsible for 148,000 people who already live here. That's what I was elected to do, and I'm worried about them. And I am really worried that growth, potential, and opportunity, while good, will leave a lot of those people behind.
All right, Alex, so let's make it a little bit more about you, okay?
Okay.
What's the most Syracuse thing about you?
I was born and raised here in Central New York, born on the west side, grew up in Camillus, and I love the city, I love this community. But I think, oh, hello, Your Honor. Possibly, actually, that may be the most Syracuse thing about me. I cannot go anywhere around this community without seeing some people I know, and I absolutely love that. I love being able to walk through the city of Syracuse and have friends wherever I go. Like, there is always a feeling of home in every neighborhood and every place I go. There's just such a feeling of home. And when I bring folks here, a few weeks ago I had some elected officials from out of town come for a weekend conference, and it was great just being able to introduce them to so many people who just love this community the same way. The other thing, one other very Syracuse thing about me. So when I'm not at home, I show this to people. Not one, but 2 phone cases with the new Syracuse City flag that you were so instrumental in doing. And whenever I go, folks, it's also on the lapel pin.
Love it. Love the city flag.
Love the flag and love being able to take a little bit of the city with me when I go places, and, you know, always that great feeling of home here too.
So if you weren't in politics, what would you be doing?
What would I be doing? There are 2 things that I would think about doing if I was totally out of politics. And I'll be honest, I've been somehow involved in politics my entire life, so that's a big stretch to wrap my mind around. I would be interested in working in arts administration, maybe running a museum, working on that side of the world. Or the other thing, and the older I've gotten, the more I find this interesting, I find the business of sports fascinating. I am a Bills fan. My friends have converted me. They have made me be a Bills fan. I'm excited. We're 4-0 now, and that is great news. But I think that the business side of a lot of sports is interesting. The licensing deals, the media deals, especially how they award what broadcast to what networks, that part of it seems very interesting to me. And before I was elected, my background was in communications, and so dealing with media kind of on the corporate side is just, I find fascinating. So, something like that.
Interesting. All right, Alex, well, thanks so much for joining us on the sidewalk. It's been a really pleasure to learn from you, listen to what you've got to say. I guess kind of my last question would be, who should we hear from next? Who'd be a good person to bring on to the sidewalk?
I would encourage you to have my friend Stephanie Pasquale, who is one of the leaders of the Allen Foundation, former city housing commissioner, and just all around good time. And she is always up for a lively conversation and has spent her career doing such impactful work here in the city of Syracuse. So give Stephanie a call. She's fantastic.
Awesome. All right. Thanks a lot, Alex.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. City Auditor, thanks for joining us.